Good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to be here at Vital Smart's Reach 2019. So thank you all for having me. Love hearing that Chuck Berry music. That's my big boss man. I played for Chuck for 32 years. The man who invented rock and roll, indeed. So what does a musician do in between gigs? Well, I can't speak for other musicians, but I can speak for myself. I would make time to go to KKK rallies, see what's going on with these people. After all, some of them even came to my gig. You know, KKK people like rock and roll too. So we all are familiar with, of course, I'll show you this thing of Chuck Berry. There we go. From a few years ago, down in Virginia Beach. This is 20 years ago at a Klan rally in Maryland. And about 3 years ago at a Klan rally in Missouri. What do I do at these things? I talk to people. I communicate with people. I have found that we here in this country spend way too much time talking about the other person, talking at the other person, or talking past the other person. I prefer to spend my time talking with the other person. Now, many of you all will recall about 2 years ago, August 12th of this year, there was a tragic event in Charlottesville, Virginia, where the white supremacists had a big rally called Unite the Right. And a young lady lost her life at that rally when a white supremacist got inside his vehicle and drove full speed through the crowd of protesters intending to murder as many as he could. He succeeded in injuring 20 people and murdering one young lady named Heather Heyer. There were many different scenes that day. This is but one of them. What's going on here? You have a black man with a flamethrower, improvised flamethrower, trying to set these people on fire coming down the stairs. The guys coming down the stairs with trying to hit him with the Confederate flagpole, all those guys are Klansmen. Now, you don't know that because you don't see their robes and hoods. I know that because I know each one of them personally. But I'm going to set up the scene for you. These guys were confronting each other, obviously. The leader of the Klan group was coming around the corner. He came down the steps first. You don't see him in this picture. He's walking forward as the guy is lighting the flamethrower. He turns around, and by this time the flame is lit, as you see there. He pulls out a gun, points it at the head of the black man, and shouts, "Hey, nigger," and then lowers the gun and fires it right into the ground near the black gentleman's feet. The police officers were only standing a few feet away. You'll see them wearing green neon vests. They stood by and watched and did absolutely nothing. Now I'm going to show you the Klan leader coming around the corner. He's wearing a bandana, a blue jean vest, and black jeans. Let's take a look at this video, courtesy of the ACLU of Virginia.
That was a gunshot.
Okay. You saw him in his street clothes. This is what he wears at his Klan rallies. He's the imperial wizard, otherwise known as the national leader. A state leader is known as a grand dragon. A national leader is an imperial wizard. He's the imperial wizard of that particular Klan group. The grand dragon was the one coming down the stairs swinging the flagpole. This is your country. It may not be Salt Lake City or Denver, Colorado, or Oklahoma, or Nevada, or my hometown, Chicago, or Washington, D.C., where I live now. But Charlottesville is your city. If you're an American, it's your city. Any American city, regardless of where you live, is your city. So therefore, whatever problems Charlottesville has are your problems. So what are you going to do about that? This is the 21st century, people, and this is going on in your country, in your city, in the 21st century. Now, we can stand around and we can blame the black guy with the flamethrower for trying to set somebody on fire. We can blame the Klan members for coming down the steps and trying to hit people with their Confederate flagpoles. We can blame the Klan leader for shooting the gun. We can blame the police for standing around doing absolutely nothing. And by the way, the police chief of Charlottesville got fired for that very same reason, because his cops did nothing. So today, Charlottesville has a new police chief. Or perhaps we should blame ourselves for allowing our country to reach that point in the 21st century. It had no business reaching that point in any century, let alone the 21st. So what do? Anybody and everybody that you saw there is to blame. Nobody has a right to set anybody on fire. Nobody has a right to hit anybody with a flagpole. Nobody has a right to pull out a gun and start shooting at somebody. Casting blame does not solve the problem. Action solves the problem. And you got to make up your mind. What do you want to do? Do you want to sit back and just see what your country becomes? Or do you want to stand up and make your country become what you want to see? You don't have to answer that question right now. But before you go home tomorrow night, the next day, whatever, regardless of whether you live right here local or you got to catch a plane to go home, whatnot, before you walk inside your door, have an answer for yourself to that question. What do you want to do? You want to sit back and see what your country becomes, or do you want to stand up and make your country become what you want to see? So I chose the latter. What did I do? I called that guy up. I said, look, man, you and I got to talk. Not Klansman to black man, but man to man. Your Confederate history is as much a part of my history as my black history is a part of yours. We both are Americans, and this is American history. Let's explore American history together. He said, okay. We set a date. I drove an hour and a half to his house. I sat in his living room with him and his Klanslady fiance. All kinds of Confederate stuff all over the house, KKK stuff all over the place. I sat there and I listened for 2 hours of him giving me a lesson on American history from a Confederate perspective, of course. When it was my turn, I said, here's what I want to do. Let's set a date. I want you all to come down to my house, you and your lady friend here. Come down to my house in Silver Spring, Maryland. I will secure tickets. I have a connection at the new Smithsonian National Museum of African American Heritage and Culture, History and Culture. And let's go tour that museum together. I only live 15 minutes from DC in Maryland. They said, okay. I set the date, got the tickets, and they drove down to my house. We got in my car, I drove them downtown to DC, and we toured the museum. This is us entering the museum. The Imperial Wizard and his Klanslady fiance. Notice the head attire. That's us watching some of the exhibits. We saw exhibits on slavery, on integration, Jim Crow, segregation, watched little documentaries on blacks in the arts, blacks in medicine, blacks in sports, in music, in science, etc. Walking through the museum. Now, as I told you, Klan members like rock and roll, and I played with the man who invented rock and roll. His favorite rock and roll artist, his favorite artist of all time, was the late, great Elvis Presley. I love Elvis Presley too. I saw him 14 times, met him twice, and went to his funeral. Chuck Berry's car, one of his cars, his cherry red Cadillac, which I saw at his house, is in the museum. So I took them to see Chuck's car. Now, upon leaving the museum, I gave the Klans lady my cell phone and asked her to take a picture of us for posterity of our visit there together. That, folks, does not happen overnight. That is a little bit less than a year after he said, "Hey, nigger," boom. These things come in time. They come through dialogue, through conversation, not talking about the other person, not talking at the other person, and not talking beyond the other person, but taking the time to talk with the other person. We don't have to agree with what someone else stands for, but let's agree to allow them the right to air their views. And in doing so, there's an excellent chance that they will reciprocate and allow you to air yours. My views weighed a little heavier on his mind than his did. Now, he still has a little ways to go, all right? But at least now, he is going in the right direction as a result of us coming together and having these conversations. By this time of my working with him and talking with him and getting together with him, we've become pretty good friends. Shortly after this picture was taken, he's going to marry the Klans lady, his fiance. So naturally, being a friend now, I get invited to the wedding. I'm the only one there not wearing a robe and hood, right? So I felt kind of out of place. But it goes even deeper than that. The lady, the Klans lady, is from right outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. She had moved up to Maryland to live with him. Her father, who's down in Tennessee, was unable to make the trip to Maryland to walk his daughter down the aisle and give her away. Rather than ask one of their trusted Klan members you saw coming down the Confederate Park steps, guess who they asked? Yeah. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I walked her down the aisle. There we are. If you look up in his second floor bedroom window, you see his Confederate flag. Like I said, he still has a little ways to go, but he is going in the right direction, and that's what's important. Here we are, the imperial wizard, groom, the Klans lady fiance, and the surrogate father at the end of the wedding. And as I said, these things don't happen overnight. They happen over time, through dialogue, learning how to talk with people, learning how to be patient, how to listen. We always tend to react to things that we don't want to hear or that we don't like, and then the conversation ceases and we get nowhere. The best way to defeat an enemy is to divide and conquer. We don't have to worry about the enemy dividing us as a nation. We're doing a good job of that ourselves. So all they have to do is come in and conquer. We need to learn how to talk with people. Dialogue is the most important key to solving a crisis. You know, you don't hear what you want to hear, you shut off the conversation. And it doesn't even have to be about race. This technique will work on any topic. I'm just using race because that's what I do. But let's take race off the table. We can use the topic of abortion, of global warming, the current presidency, nuclear weapons, the war in the Middle East. You're on one side, somebody else is on the other side. Give that person a platform. Allow them to air their views, regardless of how extreme it may be. Let me tell you something. At some of these Klan rallies I've gone to, and I've been doing this for about 30 plus years, I have heard things so extreme and so virulent, it cuts to the bone. But I stand there and I listen. I don't react, I listen. And then when it's my turn, I put across my perspectives. As a result, I have a whole collection of robes and hoods and various things active Klan members and neo-Nazis have given me because they have renounced that ideology. And in doing so, they turn over their badge of honor, their uniforms, their swastika flags. So thank you. Now, we're not so naive as to think that everybody is going to change. No, there will be people who will go to their graves being hateful, violent, and racist on all sides. But if somebody is willing to sit down and talk with you, there's an opportunity to plant a seed. That seed may not grow and blossom overnight, but over time, you're here, you plant the seed. You nurture that seed by finding commonalities. If you spend 5 minutes with your worst enemy, you will find something in common. If you spend 10 minutes, you'll find even more. And as you nurture that seed and those commonalities, you are then forging a relationship. If you continue to nurture that relationship, you are then forging a friendship. And the things that you have in contrast, such as skin color, or whether you go to a temple, a church, a mosque, or a synagogue, begin to matter less and less. And that's the point where we were there, and many other ones. As I said, there'll be those who will never change. But if someone is willing to sit down and talk with you, you have the opportunity to create a dialogue and forge a relationship and possibly a friendship. Keep in mind, when two enemies are talking, they're not fighting, they're talking. They might be getting a little loud, maybe even yelling and screaming and beating their fists on the table to drive home a point, but at least they're talking. It's when the conversation ceases that the ground becomes fertile for violence. So you want to keep the conversation going. Now, one of the first Klan members that I met was in a bar in a place called Frederick, Maryland, the Silver Dollar Lounge. And Silver Dollar Lounge was an all-white lounge. And when I say all-white, I don't mean that blacks could not go in there. What I mean is that blacks did not go in there. And here I was in the lounge playing with this country band. And a gentleman came to me and said this was the first time he ever heard a black man play piano like Jerry Lee Lewis. Well, I asked him, where did he think Jerry Lee Lewis learned how to play? And I went on to educate him about the black origin of Jerry Lee Lewis's style. He got it from the same place I did, black, blues, and boogie-woogie piano players. That's where rock and roll and rockabilly came from. Oh, no, Jerry Lee invented that. I said, look, man, I know Jerry Lee Lewis. He's a friend of mine. He told me himself. He didn't believe me. But we got to become friends. Turns out he was a Klansman. And eventually he did believe me. Now, I don't recall what song I was playing back then. This was back in the 80s. But I do remember the style. And I'm going to play it for you right now to show you how music brings people together. And this is what I would play behind Chuck Berry when he's playing Johnny B. Good or Roll Over Beethoven, Sweet Little 16, and all these great songs. A little bit of rock and roll boogie-woogie. Thank you.